What up guys, SuperMetal983 here bringing us another album review, and this time I'm going to be reviewing what is undoubtedly going to be the heaviest album to drop in 2019, and if any other albums come close to this, it's going to take some doing to get this level of heavy. But I'm going to be talking about the new Traitors album entitled Repent. This is a self-released album. Now, if you're into deathcore, you should by now have heard of the band Traitors, or at least give them a chance, because they are undoubtedly one of the juggernauts of the down-tempo movement. Along with the likes of Black Tongue leading the charge, them and Traitors are at the forefront of the down-tempo genre, whereas but Black Tongue has developed their sound and become more of a black and sludge kind of band, but still influencing the down-tempo genre, whereas Traitors have stuck to their roots from beginning to this album, and quite frankly, each album it still delivers the amount of heaviness that you need from a Traitors album. Obviously starting with their self-titled EP through the Hate Campaign, their debut album, which is personally my favourite album of theirs, because it's just, there's nothing that can come close to how violent that album is. And then through the Night Terrors EP, to Mental State, to their last EP that they brought out last year called Anger Issues, which was after when they announced that they were calling it quits, and then they decided to come back with a new EP, and they said it was going to follow up with a new EP, but we get a new full-length entitled Repent. Now, I'm just going to put a little disclosure out there. The Anger Issues EP, for all I think it was a solid effort from Traitors, I think personally to me, it's their weakest release of their discography. I just couldn't, there was just something about it, it didn't have the integrity that I felt that it needed personally. But I still listen to it, and it at least scores an 8 out of 10 personally, but honestly, I wanted them to come back with something a more stronger release, and something a bit more riotous, to say a word, you know, like, I just wanted to feel like you could kick every motherfucker in sight to it. And there and behold, last year, I believe it was, late last year, we got a new single called Dwell, which is on this album, and I was like, yeah, this is starting to sound what I was looking for. And then when they actually announced the album, they dropped a song called Left to Rot. And then from the moment I heard that song, I was like, yeah, this is just going to decimate most of their discography. Like, this is going to be up their levels with the likes of the Hate Campaign and the self-titled EP. That level of heavy, you know, it's like Mental State and the Night Terrors EP kind of had the more new metal influence, the really thin guitar tone, focusing more on groove rather than heaviness, if you ask me. But it looked like they were going back to the proper heavy down tempo that they got known for with the debut EP and album. And there and behold, we arrive at the release of Repent. And for all it's only 28 minutes length, it's only half an hour long, which I believe is roughly around the same length as the Hate Campaign. I have to say though, that this album is easily one of the most decimating and skull-crushing albums I have heard in a long fucking time. Like, this is, the last time I heard an album this repulsively heavy was Osiris Terra Firma. Like, that album, in my personal opinion, changed the down-tempo genre and made it heavy again, if you ask me. Like, there's been some hard hitters, but there was nothing that came close to Osiris Terra Firma. But then, we have arrived at 2019, and we've got something that I think personally even tops Terra Firma, because this is just pummelingly heavy. This is the musical equivalent of a fucking riot. Like, this is the perfect album to get your riot on, or even go to the gym and just pump as much iron as you can, because this will fill you with so much adrenaline, so much intensity, you'll just feel like an angry machine ready to explode. Like, this album makes you feel that way from beginning to end, from the intro track, which literally, it's only, what, a minute and 40 seconds long. When it finally kicks in from that, like, eerie guitar tone bit, when it actually kicks in, you just know straight away from the get-go, yeah, this is gonna be me getting curb stomped into the fucking ground. Like, it is, the guitar tone is easily the best guitar tone they have had ever. Like, obviously, as I said, the Mental State and Night Terrors EP kind of had a bit of a thin groove sort of tone to it, quite, you know, more groove orientated sound. But then the Hate Campaign and the self-titled EP was just beefy and chunky, whereas this has a lot of clarity to it, which I think is just an absolutely outstanding leap, because they've kind of managed to merge the tones of the two eras that I'm talking about, like keeping the clarity that we had on Mental State and Night Terrors, but merging that with the unbridled chunky guitar tones that we had on the Hate Campaign and the self-titled EP, just merging it together to create this really rich, thick, beefy, chunky tone that just makes it just so pummeling to listen to. Like, the 8-string action on, the 8-string tone is obviously an iffy territory for some bands, because they can get that really muddy sort of sound, and sometimes it doesn't create that intensity. It just creates like a dreary sort of effect, whereas this is just violent. It's just a violent guitar tone, and you can hear every note. And yeah, from the build-ups to the breakdowns, that's when you know you're in for one wild fucking ride when you listen to this album. Like, from those build-ups where you hear Tyler just chanting and getting everyone pumped up, and then the breakdowns hit with massive loudness, it's just overwhelming and eviscerating to listen to, if you ask me. Drum work is another exceptional part of Traitors that I think stands them out above the crowd, because you can feel every intense hit of those drums, and it creates this pounding, hammer down sort of vibe in there that just makes you want to use the term loosely, throw down. Like, it makes you want to spin kick everyone, and I don't endorse that obviously, but it makes you want to just kill every motherfucker in sight and just pound them into the fucking ground. Like, just the drums and the guitars just work so unified. It just sounds so good. The creativeness of the in-between bits, that's what I love about down tempo as well. Not that it's just repulsively heavy, but between the little riffs, like, because it's just simplisticness. Like, you'll hear a couple of chugs, and then you'll hear a weird, like, groovy fill in the middle, and it's just like, ooh, it hits like a little sweet spot for if you're a fan of drums, which I am. But you know what I mean. But yeah, you need to hear that to understand what I'm on about. But honestly, like, the vocals is what takes a little bit more biscuit for me, because Tyler, his vocals were fantastic in the start, but it seems like his vocals are just growing to become more aggressive and filled with so much animosity and hatred in the vocals from his signature lows, which are very like I don't even know how to describe it. He's just got his own signature voice that as soon as you hear it, you know that's Tyler. Like, he's got one of those significant voices, those signature voices in the extreme metal world, if you ask me. And it's just variation on these vocals sound just so much more angry and pissed off. Like, that's, I think, one thing that I didn't feel a lot on the Anger Issues EP was the animosity. It didn't feel like pissed off enough. It just felt like another down-tempo release, but there was some catchy songs on there, but like, this is where it's at. I think every song on this little short album of half an hour is just absolutely pummelingly heavy. For a particular favourite, I would have to say is Left to Rot. Like, that impressed me a lot, and now that I hear it on the album, when it comes about, it just gets you pumped, gets you feeling feeling angry and good at the same time, and that's quite a healthy combo for down-tempo, if you ask me. And then Ruthless Hate, another great track on there. The Interlude as well, it kind of has that kind of break sort of mentality to it, like the intro does. It kind of like, it's still heavy when it kicks in, but it is just a little break to what's to come on Wasted Faith, Weak World, and Ignorance. Ignorance is, that's literally the title of it. It's ignorant to listen to. It's ignorantly heavy. And that's just, it's just like, why are you doing this to humanity sort of vibe? Like, oh my god, I absolutely love the production is miles better than anything Traitors has ever done production-wise. It sounds clean, but it sounds beefy and heavy and chunky. It feels huge. It's loud. It's punishing. And is there anything more that you need from a really good down-tempo release? I don't think so, personally. But yeah, make sure you check out this album. Traitors have done an outstanding job, and this will be on my end-of-year list. It'll be more than likely pretty high up, if you ask me, because this is... I've listened to it so many times since its release, and quite frankly, it never lets up, and just makes us think, like, do I need to listen to anything else in down-tempo? Because this is just nothing to the top this when it comes to heaviness, if you ask me. Like, it's just too good, if you ask me. I absolutely love it. But yeah, make sure you check out the new Traitors album. No doubt in my head that next year we might see a release of a new EP and then a follow-up in 2020 we might see a new EP, and then 2021 we'll see a new album. We'll see what happens. But I absolutely love Traitors. They have proved once again why they are one of the kings, if not the kings, of down-tempo, and creating, once again, the heaviest music known to man. It's just incredible. Like, Nadia pulled off last year as being, like, the kings of the down-tempo and the deathcore, where, if you want to broadly use that term for Nadia. But if you want to use it a little bit more narrowed, then this is now the heavyweight of the down-tempos. If you ask me, it's perilously close to the Hate campaign, in my personal opinion. It might overthrow it. We'll see what happens in the upcoming future. For an overall score, though, I'm going to give this a solid 9.5 out of 10. Excellent album, and I just cannot wait for the future of this band. I mean, personally, I hope they return to the UK this year, or even at the start of next year, but I need to go and see them, especially playing songs from this. And I've also pre-ordered the album, I think it's the normal grey cover, album cover, with the red artwork long sleeve, which I cannot wait till that arrives. I'm just going to wear that non-stop, and I'll probably wear it in my band's next photo shoot. We'll see what happens. But yeah, absolutely love this album. If you're a fan of down-tempo, that's all I can really say for fans of heavy. That's all I can really say. But yeah, 9.5 out of 10. Make sure you check out the new Traitors album, Repent, self-release. Great album. And I'll see you until the next video. Remember, stay metal, and I'll see you later.